Hey there, super friends. So, it's kind of delight today that around the news, around Hollywood, Hollyweird if you prefer, that the folks at Warner Brothers has decided to shake up the DCEU universe, and they're now reporting that it's possible that our good friend Henry Cavill, who plays Superman or Clark Kent or Kal-El, if you're, Nicolas Cage's son, is no longer going to play Superman. And everybody's up in arms. And they're going, hey, this is a bad thing. Because you have, the new Wonder Woman movie coming out, the sequel, to the slightly okay first one. It wasn't bad. Then you have the Aquaman movie coming out. It's looking pretty good. But I guess the folks at the Warner Brothers says, hey, we already got rid of Ben Affleck, and now we want to get rid of Henry Cavill. Now, I have to admit, I wasn't the biggest fan of Man of Steel. I thought it was a mediocre representation of Superman. I wasn't a fan of Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. I thought that was just a horrible movie altogether. Some cool fighting scenes, don't get me wrong. I think Ben Affleck is an awesome Batman. And the monstrosity that was Justice League just proves that the DCEU really doesn't know what they're doing when they can easily follow Marvel. But we won't get into that. I'll save that for another time. And you're talking to a guy who loves the original Superman movie. The original 1977, Richard Donner directed, scored by John Williams, produced by Alexander and Ilya Salkind. Superman the movie. I mean, I know my Superman. I've had my comics for a while, back in the mid to late '80s. I even have the comic where it was Superman number 75, where they decided to kill off Superman, and then they bring him back in four different forms, and then find out he wasn't really dead. He was just healing. Spoilers for you. Yeah, the comic was 1992, 93. That's how it was back then. And when I say, that was a huge marketing push, everybody was at comic book shops looking for that comic. But that's another story as well. But I will say this, that since Christopher Reeve, I firmly believe Henry Cavill is the best Superman we've had in a long time. Now, don't get me wrong, we've only had a handful of Supermans over the years. We had Christopher Reeve, we had Dean Cain, we had Brandon Routh, we had, I forget, some guy on the Adventures of Superboy back in the early 90s. And then we have some guy playing Superman now on the Supergirl series. I have to admit, I'm not a fan of the Supergirl series. I think I watched an episode and I was done with it. I really don't watch the DC shows on TV anyway. But I have to admit, Henry Cavill is Superman. Now, let me make a point on this. When they announced Henry Cavill was going to be Superman, I had no idea who Henry Cavill was. I literally said, who the heck is that? They said, oh, some English actor who's played in a couple of films. Okay, whatever. And then there was this movie called The Immortals. It was kind of a Grease 300-esque type of movie. And I see this guy walking around, and I'm looking right at his face, and I go, I don't know who this Henry Cavill is, but this guy right here they should cast as Superman. He looks just like him. So, being the kind of person I am, I wait until the credits roll after the movie is over. The movie is kind of crappy, but you can sit through it once. And lo and behold, who's the star of this movie? It's Henry Cavill. I'm like, well, dang. You can't go wrong with that. It was one of the few things the Warner Brothers Entertainment and I agreed upon. Henry Cavill is Superman. Now they proceeded to screw the character over with three mediocre movies over the past 5 years. Like I said, Man of Steel was awful. Saw that at an early premiere. Then I saw the Dawn of Justice. Oh my word, don't get me started with that. One day I'll do a movie review on that. If you want to hear that, hit the like button or post in the comments below that you would like to hear more about that from me. And then we had the Justice League, like I said, late last year. But I'm going to call it out and say I don't believe it. Because who else are you going to pick? And two, usually when these things kind of happen, it's during some type of negotiation. Where the star wants X amount and the studio wants to pay less than that amount. And so they say, okay, well, we'll just announce that you're not going to be Superman anymore and we'll move on. This is a tactic you'll hear more and more in Hollywood. It's been used plenty of times. For those that you remember, NBC did it with Friends when they were negotiating. They put out there that, there's 9th or 10th season was their last one, and it still lasted a couple more seasons after that. It's a negotiating ploy, and I have a feeling this one is too. Because people are going to respond. I mean, this was easily news bait, clickbait, web bait, whatever bait you want to call it here. But my question is, who else is out there who's going to play Superman that convincingly and looks and feels like Superman? Now, there is only one thing I have with this Superman, is that he's just slightly a little too bulky and needs to tone it down a little bit. He doesn't have to be that buff, but that's like saying, hey, my GMC Suburban has, one too many seats or one too many USB ports. He's still Superman. Now, if we can get a good story and a even better director and a good Superman movie, then life would be just fine. And just to put a topping on that cake, if we can have a good Superman video game, oh man, life is the bubbles. Anyway, I just want to give you my 2 cents on that. I don't think it's happening. And if they do decide to get rid of Henry Cavill, who are they going to replace him with? Let me know. Post in your comments below. I like talking to you guys. Anyway, I'm out of here. Peace.